Another not normal video.
Right. Here we are in the love web, just hanging out because it's one of those weekends where we're trying to get stuff done. But we decided to make some videos for things that have changed our lives for the better while camping, hiking, canoeing, kayaking, hammocking, what else? Motorcycling, but whatever. And there are all sorts of things that we do. Cold weather camping is something that a lot of people are afraid to do. Basically, it just, everybody kind of hunkers down and then decides to complain about how there's no sun or they, got cabin fever.
I think it's wonderful.
So, yes. Hey, when you're camping in that weather, you do get to experience no people. Not a bad thing, but...
And you don't get to feel bad about being lazy because it's dark. So what else are you going to do? Sleep and read.
Books have ruined movies. Anyway, one of the things that we were going to talk about is things that have changed our lives for that in the better. I guess I'm going to start with the bottom up as far as cold weather camping goes. We might get to other stuff as far as, just camping in general. However, cold weather camping is one of those things that a lot of people don't do. So shoes or hiking boots. A lot of people wear hiking boots that are specifically made for hiking in their cold weather and they're insulated. And in a past life of mine where I was in construction, I found one of the things that worked best for me, because I found that my feet sweat a lot, especially if I'm active, is having not only multiple layers on my person, but several layers on my feet. And by that, I don't mean necessarily socks. There were, at the time when I was in construction, wicking socks that they were thin, they were more nylon, and you wore a sock over the top of it. But that really didn't seem to work for me at all. What seemed to work really well for me was wearing tennis shoes and then having the big rubber lineman boots over the top. Now, being in construction, that was fine because I wasn't moving around as much. Well, I was moving around a lot, but it wasn't like hiking. So they were a different type of boot. They're rubber boots that went up to my knees. They were not as mobile, I would say. One of the things that I found was these overshoes. They're very thin nylon. Basically, now they go over my shoes and go up to almost my knee, but they are waterproof. They're very flexible, so they work well with whatever shoe I'm wearing. I tend to go with more of a barefoot style shoe than she does.
Can we talk about why you're no longer in construction? Because I think that has a cold weather element too.
I fell off a roof in the winter and landed on my feet like a cat and totally shrunk myself a couple inches, but whatever. I survived. So these work very well. They keep my feet warm and they allow the heat to...
They breathe?
I wouldn't say breathe, because when you open them up, they will look wet because of the moisture. However, they don't make my shoes wet or my socks wet or my feet wet. I can actually walk in these, and then when you sit down, one of the things I found for hunting at times was that these worked very much better because I could walk out to a stand or where I wanted to hunt and my feet did not get cold afterwards because there's that layer of air insulation past your shoe. So it worked out very well. The moisture does collect on the inside of these, which then your pants end up absorbing. And when you get to where you're going, or get back to where you're going, you just pull those off and now you're just wearing regular shoes. So it was really nice. Bringing this up to other people, her friends of ours, they're like, oh my God, those look so clunky. But as you can see, they look clunky, but I can pack these away into pretty much nothing.
So I don't have a wide foot. The Keens that I wear are a wide shoe, and I have difficulty getting my shoe into that. So I try not to wear my Keen hiking boots or shoes when I'm wearing those overshoes. And I have a thicker, he's going to show you more what I have, because he has a thinner one, but my feet get cold, so I will wear a thicker one, a more insulated one. And I also have spikes on the bottom of mine, which he does not on the bottom of his. So mine is more for the cold or icier weather, and it does come up and extend. You can actually pull it and extend beyond that, so it will go right up to your knee. But yes, so I have found that you need to not worry, but maybe be concerned about what you're wearing underneath there, because you need to make sure that your wide shoe will fit in there.
Inside to the other boot. So there is a trying to find out what size actually fits you as far as an overshoe goes. I have noticed that there is a difference if I try to wear a hiking boot in there versus a walking shoe, just due to the size.
And I believe they're only sold in full sizes, and I wear a half size. So that's...
Right. One of the other things that for cold weather that we found, shirts. So this is going to be one that...
Layers. First of all, layers.
Layers, yes.
You want to make sure that you're layering, because you can be doing an activity and burning a lot of energy and making yourself warm, and then when you go sit down, you are no longer doing that, and you're going to get colder, and so you need a layer to put on. And if you're going to go then and get up and cut firewood again, you need to be able to take a layer off so that you're not creating sweat, because once you start sweating, then you are going to get colder, and it's going to take longer to warm yourself up.
So one of the base layers, whether you decide to wear thermals or long johns or whatever, I mean, we always, and from this point forward, I mean, we have gone through a transition in different types and styles of clothing, but we will promote wool. Wool is an amazing, no matter what animal or fur.
It's such a wide range of comfortability that you can go from, like, in the same shirt, 30, and I'm talking a sweater that I have that I would wear over something. I have worn it in 30 degrees hiking around, and I have had it on at 70 degrees and ended up taking it off. But, like, you know, it's still, if I'm not doing an activity at 70 degrees, it was fine. If I'm doing an activity at 30 degrees, it's great. If I'm not doing an activity at 30 degrees, then it's kind of a little chilly, but huge range of being comfortable.
Wool will definitely, there's a difference in types of wool. There's the more of a, how would you call it?
My outer layers tend to be a looser knit.
Yes.
And the base layers tend to be a closer knit.
So one is more of a felt, there's more of a felt type, or like a thicker flannel almost.
And those work in wind.
And
those are much better in wind.
And then there's the looser knit that actually allow wind to go through and cool you.
Regulate your temperature.
So one of the base layers that we have found that actually
seems to defy that logic.
And it does. It is a counterintuitive, is what she refers to as my stripper shirt.
It is.
And it is a mesh. It is a...
So put your hand through it.
You can, there.
All right,
like it is.
Ta-da.
It is mesh. It is a fishnet shirt. It does not look like it would fit somebody my size, but it stretches and moves and does all sorts of things. And
it is actually Midwestern size.
It is, and it fits, and it keeps me warmer than I really need to be.
Because it's got that pockets of air.
And it does. It creates like a bubble wrap of pockets of air and all these. And when I wear that and a very thin layer over the top of it, like this shirt here.
And I know they have wool like rated out to be like so many grams of whatever, but I don't have that enough memorized to be able to tell you, like, this is the weight of the shirt that I'm wearing. This is, they have it referred to obviously as lightweight, midweight, and heavyweight, but they also have like assigned.
Merle's be a 200.
Yeah.
Whatever.
So I don't know what that is. I don't know what it equates to, but.
So that shirt actually defies logic. It defies reason. It defies all things. And it, once you take it off, like when you're taking off your outer layer over the top of that, or a mid layer over the top of that, and you're wearing that, it still keeps you relatively warm. I have chopped wood in that in 20 degrees, I think almost down to into the teens. and been quite comfortable. So that is one of the things that is
Wore
just...
that up to Shawano. That
Yeah.
was my base layer in Shawano.
It is. They are amazing. Again, we are not sponsored by anybody.
There's no brands. I mean, find some. I have so many different wool brands out there. It's not brand specific. Look at the weight of the wool and style, because there are some that are meant to be form fitting and then some that are meant to be loose. And if you're going to be doing a layering, you want the form fitting to be on the base layer, and you want the looser fitting to be above it.
Yes, absolutely. Layering does matter. The texture, the type. I don't know if that. I mean, if there was like just a regular, like if you were able to get like some 1980s fishnet shirts or whatever, give it a try. Anyway, so the next it would be gloves or mittens. We have tried several different types of. Again, we prefer wool. These are some for
These
very
are my,
light.
Yeah, and I wear these sometimes under a thicker glove because when I'm out using my camera...
She needs a dexterity.
Yep, I need to be able to use my Nikon camera has a touchscreen. Obviously, my phone has a touchscreen. If I want to access my phone to get, the map or find out how long we've walked, or if I want to access my camera to change the settings on it, I do need the touchscreen access, so I need to have fingerless. But touching a metal camera or a metal tripod when I'm trying to set that up makes my hands super cold. So you got the fingerless, and then I've got a pair of gloves that I can wear over that. But these are possum and merino wool.
And then when you're really, really, really cold outside, we have these. And she's got a pair that
Look
are
at my beaver.
She's got such a lovely beaver. But hers are beaver fur, and these are things that honestly, like whether you are into camping, whether you are into...
This is a sit around the campfire, and I'm not doing anything, and I'm not moving, and my hands are still warm.
Absolutely. These are one of those wonderful things that if you are hiking into a campsite...
Because there's just the...
There is a wool liner, and these are one of these things that you will see me wearing a lot, because you slide your hands into them and...
Did you mention what yours were?
Mine are raccoon. I did not mention that.
Yeah. You wore them to the Ebonice Caves, and you had so many people that complimented them. If the audio had worked on that, I was totally going to keep that in and just have, the like 16, how many times, 20 people 20, that stopped and told you how beautiful your gloves were.
So these are something that whether you're hunting and you want to sit there in the woods and stay warm, or if you're hiking, whether you're hiking into the woods and below zero temperatures, these are amazing. And the wonderful thing about these is you can actually get your hands so warm that after you're not using them, they got this little idiot string that keeps them from falling off. That is fantastic. But when your hands are that, they get so warm that you don't even need them after a while. You just let them hang, and if your hands start to get warm, you slide them in and pull them out, and it's almost like the friction warms them up. Again, it's crazy how well these work and how well they keep you just toasty. And if you are out in the cold a lot, you realize that when your feet get cold, when your hands get cold, when your ears get cold, it tends to change your psyche about it, and you get colder. Like, just because, I don't know whether it's the blood circulating through those things or what it is, but when those are cold, you get cold. You ready?
Ready. Had to do a battery change and get some more light in here because we got a thunderstorm rolling through, so in case you hear anything, it's just a thunderstorm.
It's not explosions. Whatever. You mind your business. No, so next on the list is hats. We do, as much as it doesn't seem like we do, we try to plan our hiking and our trips out. We do some very random shit.
You said doo-doo.
Doo-doo. I said doo-doo. Anyway, yeah, we do plan on our things. So we very much... But
there are sometimes where you make reservations where you're stuck, where you're...
So we try to...
You have no options.
Yeah, we try to have multiple things, and we bring a lot of gear with us when we go.
If we're not backpacking.
Yes. So we will have a car full of our clothing options, because it does change throughout the day. You can, especially in Wisconsin,
Yesterday was forecast to be raining all day. How much rain did we get?
Not very much at all. It was
barely anything. Yeah.
So anyway, the temperatures can range quite a bit even. I mean, you can go from 50 degrees
It
during
was
the day down to...
79 on Friday
Okay, I don't know where you're
when
going
I drove
with this.
home. That's just it. 79 on Friday. What was it yesterday? What was yesterday's temperature?
I'm not a meteorologist.
50 something?
Whatever. Yeah, it was...
When I looked, it was like 58-ish.
But we can go from 50s during the day down to 20s at night. So we have to bring options with us. And we do try to bring quite a few options, especially if we're just hiking. And the things that we do during the night, we try to bring things that work. Because we may not get out of the woods necessarily before dark. So we do bring hats with lights on them.
Or just regular headlamps.
Or, yes, because the headlamps actually work better. They shine brighter, but we do bring...
And I don't have to use my hand
We do
for holding
bring-
a flashlight.
Yes, we don't need anything, but we do bring headlamps or whatever. But
And they're rechargeable,
both of them, yes, the headlamps and or the...
so we don't have to have batteries.
And the hats. These are like, I think they were really cheap ones that we found online or that
Yes, but
friends of
everything's
ours.
now more expensive, so.
Yes. However, we do also bring, depending on how cold the weather is, some very cold weather gear. And this isn't even my coldest weather hat. No, the green one is, because that one is just...
I think this is my coldest weather
I
hat.
think that is also. So that is a faux wool, but I think it...
What?
I don't
This
know.
is fake?
I think so.
You mean there's not an orange animal out there? You didn't get this off Tigger?
But I think that I may have skunned Tigger just for you, but I believe it's actually leather.
The outside of it?
Yeah. This is wool, of course. This is very, very cheap off. It's a website that promotes military surplus. And that's as far as I'm going to go with that. But, it's wool, and it has, like, fake fur on it. Hers was not as cheap, but it is a very warm hat. And hats will hold in your temperature.
I have issues with hoods being too large on me. So
Yes.
I could fit like a whole nother head in my hood. So there's all this extra space in there, and it's not keeping my head very warm.
Wind with her actually gets in her hood and circulates around. She has an issue with her hair and various different types of hats and hoods
Yeah.
and things where I do not. But I have an issue with the hats getting too warm. So that's one of the layers that I can peel off very quickly is a hat and regulate my body temperature, which is one of the things that is very important when you go winter camping.
Don't sweat.
Is regulate your temperature. If you start to feel warm, peel a layer off. You sweat, you're going to get, it's going to be a bad situation. You're going to get
Way
cold
too
then
cold.
really quick. And cotton kills, it'll absorb the sweat, it'll hold the moisture on you, it does not dry quick. It will very definitely be a damper on your situation. As far as anything else, as far as
So
winter
change your
hiking,
clothes before you go to bed.
if you're camping. Yes. If you're just hiking or whatever, then yeah, you're gonna do whatever you're gonna do. But
Yeah.
if
But
you're
if you want a better
camping-
sleep,
if you want a better
in the
sleep,
cold, if you're winter camping, change clothes. It doesn't have to be like brand new, totally clothes. It can be clothes you wore yesterday. Change your clothes, get out of the clothes that you are wearing right now, change your clothes before you go to bed. Or take your clothes off before you go to bed. Sleeping naked is the best way to regulate your body temperature.
I was gonna bring that up, but
Okay, sorry I jumped it.
no, it's fine. And it does. Again, it does seem like one of those counterintuitive things that you take more clothes off and you feel better, warmer. Your body tries to regulate it. It produces it. And, it very well may be one of those metabolizer boosters, I don't know. But it does seem to actually make you feel warmer. If you do not, you can go back to your base layers. If that is...
You don't sleep naked. If you're going out with a bunch
Yeah.
of people, you're in the same tent with a bunch of
Base
people.
layer.
Base layer.
Honestly, and you can wear your stripper shirt, to bed, because, who doesn't want to feel sexy while they're sleeping?
It's the new hiking lingerie.
How far do we want to go with this?
So, with sleeping, socks, because again, your head and your feet are going to release a lot of your warmth. So if you're worried, you're not sleeping with a heater in there, or you're not sleeping with a stove in there, keep your feet covered, or wear an extra layer on your feet and wear an extra layer on your head. So your wool socks.
So these are actually yak wool. These are the...
I thought they were bison.
No, these are actually,
Okay.
well, they're yak, bison, and I think bull all together. But, I mean, these are one of those ones that were the extreme socks. And they are sleep socks. These are made for wearing while you're sleeping just to keep you warmer. There are other synthetic choices of booties that you can
There's
get
also down, but again, I do not talk about down. I do not use down because I am allergic to down in that it will make me break out and then it will make me not breathe. My throat will start to close up. So I avoid down.
I too am allergic to down, but not to the point extreme that she is. But the pokiness of the feathers, it's more of a sensory thing with me. The quills that poke through
So
drives me crazy.
our sleeping bags, which are actually sleeping quilts, are synthetic. We have a 20-degree bag and we have a 0-degree bag depending on when we
with
go.
temperatures and comfort ratings and
Yeah. Yes, that is a survival rating, not a comfort rating. But this is a synthetic filled bootie to be worn at night. I mean, there's nothing on the bottom of it, so it's not like you're walking around anywhere. This is just meant to be
in your
keeping
tent.
you warm in a hammock or a tent. And then there is a
hoodie or hood.
Our particular ones that we have are from Enlightened. There are other companies that make them, but it's just meant to go over your head and snap under.
Sexy.
It's reminiscent of the NFL's first helmet. Yep. So, it's meant to cover your neck, keep the draft away, keep your head warm, because I don't know of any sleeping quilt that has
a hood.
Yes.
So, yes.
So you can find some mummy bags
quilt,
that have
yes.
the hood on it, but they don't generally sell a quilt with a hood. So if you just wear this, again, in your hammock, in your tent, you can tighten it up, pull it back as needed, to keep it tighter on your head, to keep more of your warmth in. Sometimes it's just enough to have it on there. Sometimes I, just keep it on. I don't necessarily need to have it buttoned around you, but you can pull this tight around you as needed.
Sometimes the tighter it is will actually create a cold spot. I will say that. But yes, if you have trying to insulate around the areas that are losing heat. Even they make mitts for you if you have cold hands and you end up throwing your hands outside of your blanket or your quilt or your sleeping bag if you can't stand being in a mummy bag or whatever, and you end up...
That's another benefit of having a quilt, though. You're not limited to, I am going to sleep with my arms down by my side and I'm not going to move during the night because I can't move during the night because I'm swaddled.
I toss and turn quite a bit. One of the things that does not affect... Well, it does affect her quite a bit. And this may be one of the things that actually is a game changer for me that was actually more of a game changer for her, is being able to bring my CPAP along with me. I need a CPAP when I sleep, or I don't need one. I suppose I could just snore.
How loud is your snoring?
My snoring has been registered as being 80 decibels, which is about the loudness of a vacuum cleaner. So it does affect her sleeping.
It affects the entire campground for sleeping.
Well, they just push me off to the side and let me sleep out there, but just so that she can sleep with me or in our same tent. Batteries for that has been a game changer. Batteries for my CPAP, battery packs.
So when we first got the canoe, when we first brought home the Key Waden canoe, we reserved a site at Newport Beach State Park, and it was a walk-in site, and it was a mile, 1.2 miles to the campsite, something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
And he brought his CPAP, but he brought a car battery to charge it.
All right, we may have to pause this video for this one, but whatever. It was a jump pack, and this was trying to.
So this was him trying to bring a CPAP out camping.
I brought a jump pack because it had the features of being able to plug into a 12-volt outlet.
And we reserved the site for 2 nights. How long did that battery last?
I think 4 or 5 hours. My batteries are able to be charged, or my CPAP is able to be run on a cord, which I had to buy. But I can plug it into a 12 volt, so I could run it in the camper at the time, which was very nice. I could run it in the camper, I could run it in a car, I could do all sorts of things with it. But yeah, I thought, oh, I'm going to be brilliant and bring that and try to use that, and it didn't work so well. It did not work. Yeah, because it also not only not running my CPAP, but it actually made a audible tone that said it was out of battery for 4 hours into the night, and then neither one of us slept.
It's about like a car alarm going off.
Pretty much.
So the batteries that you have now.
The batteries that I have now, I have 2 of
How
them.
old?
Oh,
They're old.
They're
I know
old,
that.
yes. Our first trip to the Boundary Waters was 2019.
So in September of 2019, we went to the Boundary Waters, then we got the Kuwait, and that's when you used the jump pack. So I don't know.
It was right after that I bought the batteries, because it was like, that doesn't work.
And how much do these batteries weigh?
So
I thought you said they were like 5 pounds.
that's battery and the CPAP.
Oh, battery and CPAP.
Is
Okay.
5 pounds. These last 4 nights, and I have not gotten to the 5th night on most of our trips. And I think that with what was left over, if I plugged in a jumper that goes from battery to battery, I might be able to get possibly a 5th night out of them. That was 5 years ago.
And my point is, your usage out of your battery is going to decline as the older that you get.
But they have worked very well. They are very heavy, I will say that. But it is not half as heavy as this thing. And it works 4 times better. So that is one of the things that I have done that has made her camping better. Because, well, she still uses earplugs, but she can actually sleep now somewhat due to that fact. On that note, as far as batteries go, my CPAP batteries can also be charged by solar. I do have the stuff to use
And
a
that's
solar.
a how many watt paddle?
I don't know how many watts this one is. I don't know. Can you read that? Because I can't. We have
I see a 30S. Does that mean that's 30 watts? Because that doesn't mean that to me, but
we have several different panels. We have used. She has even a bigger one. Which leads us to some of our other things. Besides cold weather,
because batteries don't last in cold weather. You don't have much sun in cold weather, so you're not going to get the benefit of having solar energy or being able to charge things through solar. So having a good battery pack.
Good battery packs, and that's the one thing that has worked well with it. Even though I get like probably 2.5 days out of a battery pack, I can then use it for charging my phone. I can use it also for different things.
That last little bit of it.
Yeah, that last little extra bit of my CPAP batteries. She can charge batteries for the GoPro. She can charge batteries for her camera. When we first started going to the Boundary Waters, which got us into the Boundary Waters, was these really cheap solar battery packs. And
that would not even charge my phone right now.
Nope. But it got us there. And it got us doing the things that we needed to do. Most of them ended up swelling up and the batteries got dangerous. However, we still have some that actually still work. And they were some of the cheapest ones we could find on the internet. And they got us there and doing things, and which in itself is amazing. It opened up doors for us. We have since gone to different styles of battery packs for charging different things. I don't use as much as she does because of her camera equipment.
And I have a lot of more high-tech stuff. So I actually found Anchor had a battery pack that it's a pretty
huge.
solid battery pack. It's pretty heavy, but I can actually charge my computer on this. So that is a far cry from where we started and what's available now as far as technology goes. Seeing as how I have a record of all the weights of all the equipment that I have so that I know what I'm bringing into the Boundary Waters, it is more beneficial for me to have brought 2 of these in than to have brought my solar panel
and all this
and that in. It's a weight savings. I am then of course lugging around something that has completely used up, but it's better than lugging around a solar panel when you're never going to see the sun in the Boundary Waters.
Well, you see the sun at times, and that is not a guarantee. It is not a guarantee to see the sun. It is not a guarantee that your trip is going to go without rain. Or being cold. Some of the things, honestly, that have changed the way we camp. We have started out with, like we said, the cheapest of the cheap, and it got us out there.
And it matters what you're doing and what you need, and you don't have to have everything that somebody else has.
At this point, we were using the sun to charge this, to maybe charge this.
Our lights and headlamps.
Headlamps, and maybe charge our GPS.
Yeah, the GPS.
And as the amount of cameras that we brought along, the amount of different digital equipment that we brought along, our needs grew.
That's fine. You can say me. It was all me.
It was ours. If you didn't do all this stuff I probably wouldn't. Yeah, so if you didn't do the stuff, with the digital cameras, then I brought some at one point. And some of them are, like, honestly, look into it. You may not need something that big. You can take this much versus that much. You might be okay. If you're not recording everything, every minute of everything, so you can catch your partner falling down, or
I can catch him hitting the tree and hitting the water and then taking water in his canoe.
Or the portages where you're just laughing hysterically because the person helping you portage
Don't talk to me for the rest of the sport.
Got an armful and a face full and an ear full of dirty ass foot water. If you are into that thing or whatever, base it off your needs. The wool, buy once, cry once. It works.
There's no reason not to buy wool.
There isn't. There really isn't. If you are not allergic to it, then do it. And that pretty much is what I have to say about cold weather and or other things that helped us camp better.